Welcome to the new IT. Here we are again for the new IT. Brad in the house. What's happening today? Oh, did we even talk to you about what's going on or who this person is?
No, you really didn't. And that's where I was asking, like, hey, what are we doing?
Wait
What's
a
our
minute.
show today?
Hey, well, you know, since me and Mike go way, way back, I mean years. We go back probably almost past 15 years at least.
20 years.
20 years. I remember, do you remember even before We Buy Houses or whatever, even before that, remember that website I built for you guys like years and years ago?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. So
I don't want to say how long it's been because that gives away your age, Bobby.
Everybody knows I'm an old man. The gray kind of gives it away, doesn't it?
Just a little bit.
So, Brad, I apologize. We know what we're kind of roughly talking about today. We have Mike Waters in the house, and I'm excited for this episode because we're going to be diving into not just crypto, but blockchain and real estate. I mean, we're going to rock the boat talking about the new IT, new technology out there, disruptor. We're going to get into the thick of it, right, Mike?
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Absolutely.
I mean, that makes me at least, more and more excited and more understanding of what it is we're talking about now.
So I say we just dive in and get to know Mike a little. Mike, just tell us, a little bit of history, backstory, whatever, kind of get us tempted to talk about what we're going to talk about. Dude, this is exciting.
Well, I started in real estate back in the 90s. Buying and selling real estate. I did a lot of rental properties. Never do that again. A lot of house flipping. Just real estate in general. And I found out that I used to take it personal, but I found out it didn't matter if you were Donald Trump or whoever you were. You always ran out of money. Like you never ever had enough.
Never
money.
had enough. Yeah.
And I was actually partnered with a guy named Chris for many years. And we used to just, when we were having our lunches, our frustration we'd always share is, man, if I just had another bucket of cash, I could just do 5 more deals. And it was always that frustration that we were out of money. And the banks were always saying no because they held the power. They held that central control. And ultimately, if they said no, it didn't matter how good a deal it was. We had to accept that. And so, I've done several hundred transactions over my life.
Real estate specifically.
Real estate. And I've been involved in all kinds of wacky kind of real estate stuff where it's from, partial ownership of a commercial property, an industrial property down to, owning raw land and developing it and everything in between. And so I understood a lot about how title works and how things work in real estate and there's, what it looks like it works like and how it actually works, and so I've done that for, 25 plus years. In fact, co-authored some real estate how-to books and spoken at a lot of seminars and talked to people, and I've been a coach and a mentor to other people on how to buy real estate and do it. And so it's one of those things. Yeah.
And you were telling me a little bit ago, this is where I think it really gets interesting. You many years ago were talking about, man, if there was some way we could get away from the banks, if there was some way. But there wasn't a way back then.
There wasn't. I just used to just curse. I mean, I'd have a really good deal, and you'd go to the bank, and they're like, well, give us 30% down. I'm like, I used to joke with my wife, I says, you're sleeping next to a millionaire. And she's like, well, we're eating McDonald's. And I'm like, that's because I'm asset rich and cash poor. That is real estate 101. Asset rich, cash poor.
Interesting.
And anybody in real estate has the same problem. They're like, oh yeah, I'm worth 30 million on paper, but we're shopping at IKEA.
Interesting. I had no idea. I mean, I'm not. That's not my forte. So I mean, for me, it's enlightening.
Well, real estate's a very long game.
Yeah.
You buy a property and you let it grow and grow and grow and grow, and then when you sell it, that's when you take your profit out. But in the meantime, you're starving sometimes.
Until you get that next deal.
And I supported my family very well. I did very well for myself, but I'm still saying that I still ran into that need for money. And I think it was the day that I sat down. I had already owned Bitcoin. It was the day I sat down and started really looking at the size of these pools, and I'm like, 500 billion, 500 billion, 400 billion, 300 billion. And I'm like, man, if I can find a way to take that money that's in crypto and put it into real estate and actually meaningfully attach it, because that's the key. because I think crypto's still a little. Part of the reason it hasn't gotten mass adoption, Bobby, is because it's still hocus pocus to it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's still hocus pocus, a la boom, there it has value. And to what? What do you own? Now, I own Bitcoin, so for all the people that are about to hate on me when I say this, please save your hate for later, because I own a lot of Bitcoin. But what do you actually own?
Some numbers.
You own some numbers on a piece of paper that are encrypted that guarantee that no one else owns those numbers. But in the end, that's what you own.
Yeah.
And so Bitcoin is driven by demand purely. Mm-hmm. It isn't certainly something, they don't use Bitcoin to build cars. They don't, use Bitcoin to manufacture refrigerators. It's not a commodity that's used that way, but it is, in fact, in demand. Mm-hmm. I don't believe it's going away.
No.
Not at all. And there were a lot of people who said it was, but it's not. In the underlying technology, the blockchain is where the value is. Right? The blockchain says there is a fixed number of X. There's fixed. There's never going to be more, never going to be less than this. And here's a way to guarantee that whoever owns it, and nobody else owns it.
And like we were talking about, this in the history of the world has never been a thing.
Right.
We've never had that ability. We don't know how much gold is out there. Mm-mm. We don't know, there's no such thing as knowing exactly how much of a thing is and who absolutely owns it at any given time. That's never been a thing.
Well, a good example is like take Vietnam. They decide they want to take over the country, so they say, this currency is no longer valid. We're now issuing a new currency. And they instantly bankrupted everybody by doing that. And you can't do that in a blockchain world. You can't just say you no longer own Bitcoin.
Right.
Because you still do. And it still has value.
Yep.
And
nobody can, so far, can take it down. I mean,
right.
Even China saying, no more, can't use it or do anything with it. It hasn't slowed it down at all. Everybody said, that's going to really mess things up.
I think
there was a little bump. Yeah, exactly.
So help me understand. Yeah. What are you doing now with crypto and real estate? I mean,
this is it. This is the question. This is where it gets exciting.
Right. So let me just tell you, when you go to buy a piece of real estate, what do you normally do?
Well, you go through obviously you got to get pre-approved, and then you got to go through underwriting, and then you got to make sure that all your ducks are lined up to be able to afford
mortgage broker person.
Exactly,
yeah. So you basically have 4 or 5 people involved.
Yeah.
That decide if you're worthy to own a home. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's 5 people who they get to decide if you're worthy, and they're all bankers, and you have to listen to what they say because they control it.
They make the rules.
If the realtor says the house is not the value that it is, you don't get the house. If the mortgage broker or the appraiser says it ain't worth what it's worth, you don't get the house. All of those factors come into play, and they decide what you are worthy to have. Our disruptor is, if you want the house, buy it.
Okay.
It's that simple.
And how do you do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we've created,
talk about that magic you were talking about.
Well, so this is a little bit of hocus pocus, but it has legitimacy in the real world. So the challenge that I had was, how do you permanently attach crypto to a real estate title? Because I'm not talking about something like you can just go and say, this title owes me $50. But if you don't pay your taxes or you get a mortgage or any of those things, it'll just push that lien away until the lien is ignored. Therefore, that's not really attaching it to real estate.
Yeah, that's not.
You have to attach it in a way where no government entity or anybody can take it off the title and remove it. And we have found that there is only one way in the whole world to do that. And
wait, pause. This is important. We have to pause for this.
Yeah, and there's only one way to do it, and we have it patented.
That is awesome.
There it is.
So for all you out there, there's a lot of you out there who see companies doing real estate projects, tokenization, and they're all doing it wrong. That's not because I'm an egomaniac. They're doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong because either A, they don't do it the way we do it, and they're going to create some conflicts in court, or they're doing it wrong in that the lien that they're applying can be eliminated through a series of bad management.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, for example, let's say you have you just put crypto lien on your house and you don't pay your mortgage payment. The mortgage company forecloses out and pushes that crypto lien off your title. You're not attached to the title anymore. You can't do that with ours. You cannot foreclose us off. In fact, we can foreclose the mortgage company off. Yes, that's true. Not making that up. We can foreclose the mortgage and push them to the curb. Now, to be clear, if you owe mortgage debt, we will never allow you to do that. First of all, it's not moral. And second of all, I like to be alive. And if you take enough mortgage debt and wipe it out through illegal means, the bank will find a way to get you.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Yeah. So setting that aside, I'll give you an example. Okay, let's say you have $1 million. Let's say you own a home and you just want to get rid of your mortgage debt. Okay. Let's say you own a home in Utah, $1 million home. I know is a 2-bedroom condo, but let's pretend you own it. You got $1 million home, right? And you have a $500,000 mortgage.
Okay.
Now, in that scenario, your payments are around $2,800 a month. Let's just round up to $3,000 a month.
Okay.
Okay. So you have a $3,000 a month payment on $500,000 debt on $1 million property. Okay.
Okay.
What we would do is we would create 1 million $1 tokens on your property. We would file our Quest lien that we put on. We call it a lien, but it's much more complex than that.
And you just said Quest, which nobody listening would understand what that means.
That's the name, Quest Crypto.
Quest Crypto. There we do. We just announced what we're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, we want you to be mind readers, people.
Right.
Right.
I'm trying to play catch up here. I'm getting there.
So you we put 1 million Quest Crypto dollars on your property. Then we sell those $1 tokens. Sell them for Bitcoin, sell them for Ethereum, sell them for whatever. Our coins are equivalent to USDC, but better.
Okay.
Now USDC trades at around 500 billion right now. Is on the market in circulation, and people buy that coin because it stays value. It doesn't go down. It doesn't go up. It stays value. Ours is a better product than USDC because what we do is we attach it to the equity. So now we sell those 1 million coins, but we don't give you a check for $1 million because you owe the mortgage company $500,000. So what we do is we take $500,000 of that $1 million from the sale of the tokens, and we give that to your mortgage company. And they're going to send you a statement in the mail called a deed, a deed of recordance or reassignment. Like basically, it says we're no longer owed money, and then we send you the $500,000. Now you have now sold 100% of your equity. Okay.
Okay.
But this is the important thing. I remember when I said earlier that a lot of people aren't doing it right. Mm-hmm. Our tokens attach only to property rights. They don't attach to property. So the property right this attaches to is equity only, meaning that the token owners cannot knock on your porch and say, hey, can I sleep on your couch tonight?
Because I own this.
Yeah, because
I own a piece of you.
Yeah, you still own the house. You're on title. The house still belongs to you. The only thing you've sold is your equity.
Interesting.
Okay, that's it. And so you are not obligated to sell. You do not have money to pay back. You have just sold the equity. Now, let's say in another scenario that all you did was sell 500,000 worth of coin, and you have 500,000 Quest coins in your digital wallet. Mm-hmm. You can just hold those in your digital wallet as well,
and still make your mortgage payment.
No, your mortgage payment's done because you had $1 million. You sold 500,000. Mortgage payment $0, and now you have 500,000 tokens still in your wallet.
So what happens if equity goes up?
That's a great question. So, $1 million home, a million tokens issued. Next year, it's worth 1.2 million. Mm-hmm. Every token's worth $1.20.
Okay, so it's based off of the token value.
So we call it a stable plus coin because it means that it's going to stay at a value of a minimum dollar, and then as the property goes up, the tokens will rise but not fall.
Okay, I think.
Why not fall? What if we had a crash?
Fantastic question. Fantastic question. So there's several reasons. First of all, my grandfather owned a property for 45 years. I can't even imagine that, but he lived in the same house for 45 years. During the 45 years, there were 9 market crashes.
Wow.
Did he ever lose money? No, because it's when he sold the house that any losses or gains are realized. So that's the first thing. You're not going to sell it the market's down because your house is paid off.
Yeah.
Okay?
There's no reason for you to sell at that point.
Second of all, if there was for some reason where you said, no, I want to sell, I don't care, I just want out, maybe you're getting a divorce and the judge said you got to sell. Or maybe there's a bankruptcy court and they say you got to sell. Although the bankruptcy court really doesn't order it, there's no equity.
Yeah.
But in the event that you wanted to sell, we have, when you put the property into the Quest system, we have a mortgage insurance product that we attach to the equity that says if the property ever sells below the spot rate, that insurance company will cover the difference. So it will never go zero.
Okay.
And that's the same product that the bank uses. Yeah. When you borrow money from the bank, they say, okay, well,
FDIC.
Yeah, we're loaning you $100,000, or in this case in Utah, $1 million to buy this house, and if we have to foreclose and only collect $900,000, the $100,000 belongs to the mortgage insurance company. They have to pay it.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we're using conventional real estate products to stabilize the value. So the reality is you're not going to sell, okay? Because the only reason 90% of the time when people sell, it's because they can't afford, they can't qualify, because remember the bank's saying what you can and can't buy.
What you can and can't.
What you're worthy to buy. The bank says you're not worthy to buy another house, so you have to sell this one. Or you're in a situation where you've lost your job and now suddenly you're looking at, I've got $100,000 in equity, but I can't make the mortgage payment, and so the mortgage company is going to foreclose me out, take my equity. I don't want that, so I'm going to sell the house so I get my equity.
Okay.
So that's your primary motive for selling a property. It's because you got distressed situation. If there's no debt. Now, going back to that example where the homeowner had a $3,000 house payment. Now let's talk about what that homeowner lives with. Okay? The homeowner is responsible for their $3,000 a year in property taxes.
Yeah.
They're responsible for about $800 in property insurance. And they're responsible for maintenance.
And electrical and
And anything else that they were.
So,
but that $3,000 payment is gone.
That's gone, and now what they're paying is the equivalent of about $800 a month, give or take.
Why isn't? Do you see a future where everybody's doing this? I guess
I see a future where that is the complete market disruptor. Now, when I
this
said
is freaky,
yeah. So when I now, if you actually go back, you talk about never before in the history has crypto been possible, but there have been times when this exact business model has existed. You go back to the times of kings and queens, your land was your valuation. If you wanted to go do a business deal, maybe you wanted to go to India and buy spices and ship it to another country and make a profit, you'd go to the king, and the king would give you a loan, and he would use your land title. There was no interest. You would say, I'm going to do this, it's going to cost me $50,000, and I'm going to make $100,000, and I'll pay you back, king, $70,000. And the king says, deal. And so then the king would give you the money, and you'd go do the deal, and then if you didn't, the king took your land. But using your land as a currency is not new. It's been around since the time of the kings. And that used to be what made a lord, a landlord, because he had land, and therefore he was lord over everybody that was on it. So I honestly see the banks going away. Now, when I say I want to make sure the banks are paid off, there's two motives behind that. One, they can't do anything to me because I paid them in full. And then two, when the market disruption occurs, they have no case against us. They can't go to court and say, but no one's borrowing money anymore, because the argument is it's a superior product. Just like you can't say, well, I can't sell my horse-drawn buggies anymore. I'm upset. I want to sue the car companies. I'm sorry, they have a better product.
yeah.
Okay, our first question is always, how are you a disruptor? And I think we've just kind of hit that, don't you think, Brad? You got any questions around that?
How are you using technology like blockchain to be that disruptor?
That's the next question, right? So how is this technology? Who's taking care of it? Who's doing it? How are you doing it?
Is when you put a property into the system, whether you're buying it or it's an existing property, a blockchain is made for each individual property.
Okay.
So your house would have a blockchain. Bobby's house would have a blockchain.
Its own blockchain, but it's still called a Quest coin.
Yes, it's a Quest coin, but it's attached to individual
blockchains.
So we do a Quest / and then we put a serial number on it, and that serial number attaches to Bobby's property. So Bobby might be Quest -4, and you might be Quest -6, and maybe Quest -1 because I'm number 1. But they're serialized, and so it would be a blockchain against Bobby's house, a blockchain against your house, a blockchain against my house. That's how we're using the technology. And because of the issuance of coin at the date of the home's creation, that is the basis for the value. If there's 1 million coins created, there will never be more than 1 million coins. So if the house is worth $2 million, every coin's worth $2.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, interesting. So I was wondering, because like with Bitcoin, it halves itself every 4 years or whatever, and it does less coins. But this is, you get the amount of coins when you do the blockchain for that property.
Yeah.
And then it grows or comes down according to value of the property. It is completely connected to the value of the property.
Right. And so the technology that we use is every year we have the house appraised every 12 to 18 months. If the house has a higher value, we plug the new value into the blockchain system. It takes the new value, divides it by the number of tokens, and everybody experiences the bump.
And what can you do with your tokens? Can you transfer them for cash? Can you get Bitcoin for them?
Trade for Bitcoin, trade for Ethereum. We are an ERC20 coin, so you can trade across anything straight across.
You're on the exchanges?
So
That's a
Quest
tough one.
is on the exchange. Now, we don't put the individual homes on the exchange because you could spend more than a home's worth just getting on 2 exchanges.
Right.
So what we do is the Quest coin has a fixed value of $1, and then you trade that up into equity. And if you wanted to trade your equity, what you would do is, let's say you bought it at $1 and now it's worth $1.50, you would trade it down for $1.50 in Quest. Then you would trade the $1.50 in for USD, and then you can either cash the USD out, or you could trade the USD for Ethereum or whatever you wanted to.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
So it's a straight up currency, and it's a land-backed currency. Imagine, Bobby, a HELOC
Yep.
on your home,
Yeah,
where
home equity line of
100%
credit.
where your 100% of your equity is available to you at all times, and then never have to pay it back.
What do you mean never have to pay it back?
You don't pay it back if they own your equity. The coin is your equity. Now, if you let it go, you don't get it back unless someone sells
Right.
it.
So if you sell the coin, then you're giving
Then
up.
you're
that
losing
equity.
your equity, essentially.
But
Could you sell all of your coins and still be in the house?
Yes.
And own your home?
Yeah, because it's only attached to the right of equity. Now, when you sell your home, you're going to get a HUD-1 statement from the title company. It's going to say you're entitled to 0.
Because
Now,
the equity. Oh.
Yeah, now for those of you who know a lot about real estate, I'm going to re-say what I just said. If you tokenize, even if your house is paid off in full, and you tokenize, let's say your house is worth $5 million. In this case, it's a 3-bedroom house in Utah. $5 million, and you put $5 million, it's paid off, and you put 5 million tokens in your wallet, you've tokenized 100% of the equity, which means that if you sold the home at the title company, your HUD-1 is going to say 0.
So who get so okay, man, this is harsh.
Yeah.
I sell my $1 million home for
Yeah.
$1.2 million. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't get any of that
Every token owner would get $1.20 for each token they owned.
back,
Yes, back.
and they still own the token.
And they don't own it anymore. They got their it's a forced sale. So if you sell your home, what would happen? And he owned the tokens. He's going to get a notice that his tokens are no longer tradable, but they're valued at $1.30 upon sale.
Instead of a
So
dollar-
if he
instead of a
spent
dollar.
if you spent $2 on it, now it's worth $4.
Right.
You've made money.
Yes.
Which
Right.
is the whole point of the deal anyway.
But he wouldn't be able to trade the token anymore because he would try to trade it for Quest, and it would say this token's invalid because the property's gone. Here's $4 in USDC.
So how does that technology work that it knows, hey, it just invalidates that blockchain at that point?
Yeah, so we just kill the blockchain remotely. When the home sells, we just put a button, and then it's dead, but it doesn't kill the token value. It just freezes it, and it says the token's no longer tradable. So if the blockchain says I traded it, it's going to go, nope, you can't. That's how we built it.
Interesting.
So that way you know when you buy a Quest token.
Mind blower.
Yeah, when you buy a Quest token, you know without a doubt there's a piece of real estate that cannot be sold without you being paid. Therefore, it's the same thing as what we used to carry around, the gold-backed currency. We used to
Because
carry
it's
that.
backed by
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Then if you sell it, it goes to then that property could be sold to a new owner that then at that point would not be connected to any kind of crypto at all, but you would have been paid out.
Right.
And the person that's owned the house didn't have a $3,000 a month. Holy crap.
Now, I do want to tell you
Brad,
one
your
more thing.
mind, Brad's head right there is looking
before
like,
you jump in,
wait
Brad,
a minute, wait a minute.
I do want to give you a real-world example of how people are getting hurt in the world of crypto. Okay. There's a lady in California. It's a suit that's going on. It's going to wind up in the California Supreme Court. Okay. She bought $3,000 worth of Bitcoin back when you could buy Bitcoin for nothing. She now owned $10 million in Bitcoin. She says, I got $10 million in Bitcoin, and there's a sweet house down there. I'm going to go buy it. So she sells her Bitcoin for $10 million cash, goes down and buys the house. The state of California says, whoa, 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 whoa. You bought a house with crypto, you sold it for cash, you owe us 40% capital gains. Federal government comes in and says, you owe us 25% capital gains. She now owns $6.5 million in taxes for buying a $10 million house from her Bitcoin. She has to now sell her house so she can pay the taxes.
Yeah.
And she's not going to get the house or the cash. She's going to wind up with, by the time she's got attorneys, she's going to wind up with $500,000 left in her pocket. And this is a big deal because she had a value. This is why we exist as well, because she could have said, I want that $10 million house. Quest would have gone in and bought it, tokenized it, and traded her.
Okay.
And there would have been no sale.
Yeah.
There would have been no sale. We'd have just said, I'll trade you my Bitcoin for the Quest, and she would agree, and then she could go move in.
But you'd had to have the seller of the house do that.
Yeah, so we actually have a liquidity pool where we'll come in and we'll buy the home.
Oh, so you kind of sit there, you buy it then from whoever's selling it, then you tokenize it and sell it to the person.
So if you had 10 million in Bitcoin.
See, this sounds pretty shady. I mean, and I think it only sounds shady because it's Bitcoin and we just nobody really understands. So can you help us see why it's not shady?
Yeah, well, so let me, first of all, I'm born and bred libertarian, so you have to understand that I have these, I do believe that most forms of taxation are theft. I'm going to get libertarians right now pinging me saying all taxation is theft, and I understand their argument. But if you own Bitcoin and it's worth $10 million, the state of California on this lady claims 40% is theirs as a capital gain because they said you bought it, it gained in value, and you went out of it, just like if you own a piece of real estate. So their argument is if you own a piece of real estate that you bought for $1,000 and then it's worth $10 million and you sold it, that gain from real estate back to cash is a capital gain, therefore you owe taxes. However, if you own the real estate, there's a mechanism in place called a 1031, where you can say, I'm going to sell the house, but I'm going to buy another. You file 1031 paperwork, you sell the house, the money doesn't go into your pocket, it goes into an intermediary's account, who then buys the new house with it, and the 1031 is filed and you pay no taxes. That is a current mechanism in place in the real estate world called a 1031.
That you can do if you've lived there for over 2 years.
Right. I'm saying the same thing exists in the crypto world. A 1031 exchange going from one crypto to another is the same thing. You haven't cashed out. You traded from one crypto to another. That's all you've done. You're not taxed when you go from Bitcoin into Ethereum and Ethereum into Dogecoin. You're not taxed for that because you're trading from one to another. So if you wanted to buy a $10 million home, you would give me your $10 million in crypto, in Bitcoin. We'd put it in an escrow account. I would then go buy the $10 million home. I would then create the crypto and then exchange the crypto with you. And then say, go ahead, move in, it's your home.
Interesting.
Wow.
Now, to blow your mind further, then you can turn around with that $10 million in crypto you own and sell it back and get your money back.
Wow. We've went off the rails because I just don't know what to do.
You had a question, though. I wanted to hear your question.
I did. I mean, so how would, if I wanted to own multiple properties, how would I do that? I mean, is it like the same thing, or if I wanted to
do some rentals,
like a rent?
So I'm going to do the Mr. Burns thing. Excellent, right? So honestly, now you're going to get into what I've talked about sounds really esoteric and beautiful and change the world. Quite honestly, there is an element of greed in there. I want to be able to buy a lot of properties and not have debt on them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy lots of property, and what we're going to allow other people to do it. We're starting from the top down. We're doing Elon Musk's strategy. We're starting from the very
big ones.
Big. We're doing a $6.4 billion project right now in Las Vegas. We're going to fund the whole thing through crypto.
Wow.
And all of that, just the liquidity pools alone are going to generate $260 million to which we can use to buy and fund other real estate transactions. So to answer your question, we're only going to let people do one home initially.
Okay.
Then, as the liquidity pools grow and as they prove they can handle it, it's not a worthiness issue. It's, do you handle the maintenance and the things on your house and behave properly in the system such as to maintain the value? Then we'll do a second one.
Kind of like Ray Kroc did with the McDonald's owners for the franchise. If you didn't take care of if your franchise,
you don't get a second
worthy
one.
enough, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's with great power comes great responsibility. Now, we created another crypto coin called NAB. It's KNAB. It's bank backwards. That's on purpose because we're undoing banks. And what we're doing is we're taking the underwriting fee to put a property into our system, and we're taking payment in NAB.
Interesting.
So the current charge is 10%. So if you had $1 million house, you'd have to have $100,000 in NAB. You would pay that to us, and we would put your house in the system, and then you would get all the money from the sale of the tokens.
Interesting.
So the idea is if you buy $100 worth of NAB today and it's now worth $100,000 in 6 months after our ICO goes, you've, with $100, been able to buy $1 million property cash free.
Interesting.
And
I like it.
as more people buy the NAB because they want to put their homes in, the value of the NAB grows, and the guy that paid $1,000 for his NAB can now put in for a $5 million home. And people will continue to buy NAB, and then as we get it and we put the property in, we'll put the NAB back out for sale. So the market will progressively climb. That's our tokenomics model. It's a lot like Bitcoin. It'll be a supply and demand. But ours, the NAB token, to be clear, is just like the other hocus pocus cryptos. There's no value to it other than what you can do with it, which in this case is buy and sell a house.
Interesting. I like it.
My brain is.
And I don't mean to kill you guys.
digest.
Yeah. So, the future.
Yeah, we don't even have to ask him questions. He just went right to the question.
Exactly.
Yeah, so for
The
me,
future. What's the future, Mike?
So the future I see is really banks becoming less and less relevant in our day-to-day business. If a person has $300,000 in title and value, they should be able to use that money the way they see fit. And they shouldn't need a bank's permission or anybody's permission to use it. I see people being able to broker. Now, there's going to be irresponsible people in every society.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going to have people who are going to go to Vegas with their $300,000 and they're going to blow it all. And I can't stop that. But what I can stop is those same people that did it with a mortgage lost their house and they're homeless. And in our situation, they didn't lose their house. They're never getting any money out of it. They're done. Right. So, I mean, I'm stop-gapping the bottom worst consequence. I see the future. Honestly, people just trading occupancy tokens on their home. I want to go live in Pittsburgh for a month. This guy's got a nice house. I'll trade you my token. You trade me yours. I just go live in your house for 6 months.
Whoa.
Yeah. Because occupancy is a separate right.
Whoa.
And, we go to like Airbnb, for example, and say, you know what? I'm only living in my house 6 months. I'll give 36 weeks of tokens out to Airbnb, and you guys can broker them and let people move into my house for that. And then when the tokens are expired, they're expired.
Wow.
Jeez.
The timeshare industry is going to be rocked in a very good way because the timeshare industry can say, here's how many condos we have. We'll issue.
Here's how many tokens.
Here's
for
how many tokens.
This
and if you want to move in, here's the tokens. You buy them and cash them whenever. You get rid of this you get rid of that pushy sales guy.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody hates him. So
yeah, but then they
okay.
won't give away all those free trips.
You're really paying for them now, and I know you know that.
In the long run, yes.
Although, if you go to them and you go, dude, no matter what you say, I'm not buying anything, so you're going to be wasting a lot of time if you keep hounding me, just so you know. That works a little bit. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore, but...
Yeah, but no, I mean, so I see the timeshare industry being rocked. I see the hotel and accommodation industry being rocked because they can sell their occupancy tokens off, and they can say, you know what, we got 40 tokens this weekend that aren't even being sold. We'll just throw them into a secondary market and let people.
You know
take
what
them.
this kind of feels like? It kind of feels like the internet and newspapers connected to banks and crypto. Do you see that it could be that kind of a disruptor where the banks are going to wake up one day and they're going to be just devastated?
Yeah, that's what's actually going to happen. So right now the banks mock crypto, and some of them are like, well, we'll take your Bitcoin, but we won't sell it to you. You know, it's kind of there. Well, we'll take the cash out, but we won't put it in. The day's going to come when the banks are going to go, people aren't applying for mortgages anymore.
What do we do?
Now, for those listening to me, there's going to be some haters when I say this. This is going to put new power in the future to the homeowner. Bobby, you ready to have your mind blown again?
I don't know if I can handle it.
Let's say-
Wait, hold it. I'm not sure I can handle it.
Now, let's say in this scenario, like we talked about earlier here, where you had $1 million home and you only sold 500,000 tokens, and you own 500,000 tokens. Selling your home, you might actually make some money on your tokens, right? You decide to sell the home. You contact Quest and you say, I want to sell my home. Quest puts out a property right that you own, which is called the right to sell. And they offer it up for sale to realtors.
What?
Yeah.
I don't
Realtors
understand.
paying to list your home.
Oh.
They're not charging you. The realtor says,
Interesting.
I can sell your home. Great. We have tokens that last 1 month. How many months do you think it'll take to sell my home? 3 months? Great. You can buy 3 months worth of listing and sell tokens for $2,000. There you go. Pay me the money, and now you can list my home. The realtor paid me to list my house.
Whoa.
And at the end of 3 months, if the realtor didn't sell the house, the tokens expire, and see you later. Get your sign off my yard.
But they do still get their I mean, they get money from selling the house.
If they sell the house,
they
If they sell
yeah.
the house.
Yeah.
Only if.
But see, before the agent says, I love the agent story. I can sell your house in 30 days. Sign the 1-year listing agreement. Wait a minute. He just said he's selling in 30 days. Yeah. And you're asking me to commit to 12 months because it's a lie, right? Well, now, put your money where your mouth is, agent. You can buy 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, however many months of listing you want. Here's the price. And we've turned down checks from RE/MAX to buy into our company for specifically that purpose. They wanted to buy in so that they could earn the future right to list the properties, because that's a right that you have. And so you can tokenize it. Another way to blow your mind is, let's say you have let's say there's 400 homes in Quest Crypto, and you say, I go to a company like ServiceMaster and I say, what would you be willing to pay for the right to maintain these properties? Like when the furnace goes out to replace the furnace. Now ServiceMaster comes in and says, we'll pay $100,000 for the right to service all these properties. And now they've locked up. And then when the furnace is broken and you say, my furnace is out, Quest says, we send a guy over. And he takes care of the
that
furnace.
guy gets paid with tokens.
That guy gets paid with cash, but he paid for the privilege to put a furnace in your house.
Wow.
Turn the table on its head.
Interesting.
Everything.
And
this is so much deeper than just real estate.
Absolutely.
We're going to turn the heads on the insurance industry, because now you in Utah, you have to pay like ridiculous amounts of money for earthquake insurance, because no secret, we have earthquakes here, right? Well, now we go and we say we have 10,000 homes in our Quest Crypto system. We'll sell the right to insure to a major insurer. They have to buy the token rights to insure, and now they're insuring the homes as a block. The rates drop.
Interesting.
And the homeowner's going to get these little checks. Here's a check from $20 from Allstate. I guess they're insuring my house now. Thank you, Allstate. The service master's going to put the furnace in whenever it goes out. Great, thank you for the $40 check. You're going to see that. And so the future is homeowners get paid to own their homes.
Whoa.
So here's a question that I don't know if you've been asked. Does this allow new opportunities for people who have never owned a home to own a home?
Yeah, actually, right now I feel bad. My daughters, and this is part of the reason why I built this program, my daughters will never live in a world where they can own a home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my daughter says, Dad, your house, she goes, no offense, Dad, but it's small, and it's $600,000. She goes, I need to make $40 an hour to afford that.
Exactly.
She goes, I'll never be able to buy the home. And I says, well, with Quest Crypto, your house payment would be $600. And she's like, wait a minute, I'm paying $2,000 a month rent, and the bank says I can't afford to pay more than $1,200 to live. I'm like, I know. And with that being said, I'm going to throw in my obligatory quote. My favorite founding father, Thomas Jefferson, said that bankers were more dangerous to the security of this nation than a standing army. And today we're living and breathing and seeing that. We're seeing people can't afford to live in this country because the banks have destroyed they put a stranglehold on our economy.
Whew.
Wow.
Man, I feel drained.
I'm still trying to digest it all.
I haven't gotten to the cool stuff yet.
Wow. So, and I know we could be here for hours on end. We are just about out of time. What do you, just really quickly, just to kind of wrap things up, where do you see the future of everything, technology in general, just the whole world?
My passion is blockchain, and I see everything going on the blockchain. I see your social profile, I see your cell phones, I see all your financial stuff going on the blockchain, and all secured so that nothing can be taken from you. I see when you go on and you use the internet, it's all going to be distributed. It's all going to be distributed.
Who's going to take care of that? Who are the technology people that are going to take care of that? Are we going to have jobs? Are we going to have more jobs for IT?
We're going to have bots.
We're going to have bots.
Well, I do see AI doing a lot of it. I see the future being people building gigantic AIs to run blockchains, and then the
sounds
AI
a little bit like Skynet, though.
It does.
Scary.
It does. I have said before, Quest Crypto is either the savior of mankind or the complete degradation and breakdown of society. I take no responsibility if it's the latter. I don't know what the future is doing, but I do know decentralized is the key. Yeah. I see everything we do being decentralized. I see our social profiles. I see all of our data. Our banking's already going decentralized. Ownership, everything's going to be decentralized because the government is coming in and saying, I want more control. And with the technology of blockchain, I see people saying, no, you don't. Decentralize, prove I own it. And that's going to keep people free.
Wow.
I see the future of technology being that the smallest and most uncivilized countries are going to become more high tech than the U.S.
Really?
I think we're going to lag behind in a serious way.
Wow.
I mean,
we're already outsourcing so much.
Right. I mean, when you grasp the fact that the Belizean prime minister has sat down with us and wants to crypto collateralize his entire country, back out of his dollar, pay off the financial debt, and go straight to blockchain on all transactions, you realize that's going to happen. Like, you've got third world countries saying we're going to become more technologically advanced than the United States, the United Kingdom. So there's going to be a massive shift. Massive shift.
Interesting.
Brad, I don't know what to do about this. This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm still trying to process
I'm
it
on a
all.
roller coaster ride right now. I feel like I'm
I'm right there with you.
amusement park.
Right?
What is the show? I've forgotten.
I have no idea.
Well, Bobby, I'm buying a $2 million house this month. No cash out of pocket.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
We need to talk.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm using crypto to buy it, so it's a working example. So I'm not going to have any equity when I move in, but that's okay. I'm never moving.
Right.
So, but
I mean, that's traditionally real estate. The smart people buy real estate so they can make money from it or get it out. But really, people just need a place to live. And if you're living in a house that you own, but you don't have to pay a mortgage, does it matter if you don't make any money when you leave?
In fact, I'll say that it absolutely doesn't matter, and I'll tell you very simple dollars and cents. You borrow $1 from the bank, over 30 years you pay back 3.5.
Yeah.
Okay? But if you did not have that payment to the bank and you invested that
You
dollar,
made money.
Over 30 years, you make $7.5.
You made money.
You'll make $7.5 if you invest it versus 3.5 if you borrow it. So it's actually
So if you
better.
use the money you would use for a mortgage to invest.
Like in my
Gosh,
example,
he just keeps doing it.
right. So if
Just
there was
keeps
a
blowing it.
Remember, I said the $3,000 house payment that's now dropped to $800. Take that $2,200 invested every month in a mutual fund. At the end of 30 years, you'll have $7.5 for whatever you put in, versus you'd have only paid down. You'd have paid back 3.5. That's how the bank makes money.
Right.
They take your money and they make more money with it. You now become the master of your own money.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow. I can't see this not being the future. I don't
No,
know
I agree.
unless the world really comes to a significant end with technology, or there's a big flare out there, or nuclear holocaust or something. I can't see
There's
a
always
place
that.
where this is not the future. And every time somebody says, "Oh, crypto is a fad, it's going to go away," well, it keeps showing up.
Well, I think it's here to stay. I just think, personally, we're going to have issues with adaptation, getting people accustomed to it, and getting people to do it.
Right, like you said, it's just 1% of the population right now
Right.
is really actually using crypto. 1%.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like e-commerce went like this. It was a flat line, and then all of a sudden, people figured out how to take a credit card over the internet. Boom, straight up. That's what's going to happen with. That's why I said, your Bitcoin's going to be worth a small fortune, because as soon as it starts getting mass adoption,
Kabam.
everything is going to go nuts. And it'll grow in proportion to
touching
the
it.
government's power decreasing.
Not touching it. That's it.
Interesting.
I've made the decision. I'm not touching it.
Don't touch it.
In the early days, I told you I ruined it by I thought, oh, this is money. I'm supposed to use it. So when it was $100 a Bitcoin, I was buying
using it.
crap with it and going on Newegg.
I sold 100 Bitcoin to a friend for $200.
Wow.
And I thought I ripped him off.
And that
Wow.
200 Bitcoin is worth what? 50 million? 50 million
somewhere
around that?
there, yeah.
Wow.
The only justification is he only got 1,000 for it and sold it to somebody else. So I'm like, ha, yeah, you suck too.
Right. Wasn't just me.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been cool. Any last words, Brad, that you can think of? I mean, we just have to end this, or I'm gonna my head will explode.
And
I'm
if you
still
guys
trying to
want me
process
back
it.
on another show, I'll come back and do a follow-up. That could be fun.
So how do people get a hold of you guys? How do they find out about you
So
and all that?
I
good
won't
stuff?
give out my cell phone number because that's already the bane of my existence, the way that thing rings. But if you email me, Mike at Quest Crypto, that's MIKE at questcrypto.com. That's my direct email address. There's no filter. There's no executive assistant that grabs that. But I don't, I may not respond right away either.
Right.
But that's my direct email. And
Can they find out? How can they find out more about Quest?
Well, they can go to our website. We're in the process of updating everything. We are pre-launch still. So we're using our Vegas arena to be the launch pad of our product. So if people are interested and want to know more, they can contact me and I'll send them some PowerPoints or whatever. I'm an open book, and there's, as you've seen, there's so much to say that I just don't know how to say it all. I can go on for hours.
There's a lot.
Wow. Well, this is exciting. Well, cool.
Cool.
Thanks for being on the show, Mike. Mike
Absolutely.
Waters. Get a hold of him if you can. Thank you for listening to The New IT. We will see you next time.